So today we have with us Vivek Shiv Ramakrishnan sir, and I'm sure no one needs the introduction about him. But anyways, I'll provide a short introduction. So he has secured GATE All India Rank 7 in Data Analytics 2025. He is a fellow PS data science student and he's completed his 4 years degree. And now he's a course instructor at ITMBS. We will learn about his entire journey in this podcast. First of all, I would like to ask you that what was that one thing, in your opinion, that propelled you to so many academic achievements?
To put it bluntly, and I think we this would be a recurring theme in this podcast. I know it's just that I liked whatever I was studying. There was
Hmm.
so whatever I did was an outcome of the passion I put into it. It's not just the one thing, but perhaps just the one thing. I don't think there are any other things
Hmm.
in that regard. Yeah.
So, inherent interest in the underlying subject. So, what were like the things that you were really interested about?
Even now, I'm confused by that in the sense I found almost all the things in the program interesting to me. So there weren't very specific. Well, perhaps I'm not a big, at least fan of the applied parts of it, but when it comes to equations theory, how it connects to the algorithms themselves, so that part, I have discovered this interest for teaching, and I found out that if I want to be a good teacher, I must be my grasp of the fundamentals should be strong. From that interest stemmed my kind of inspiration, and to actually find other teachers how they teach, find how well they do that. And in order to do that myself, I need a good grasp of fundamentals. So I think one way to trace that liking to this particular avenue would be through that lens of teaching. So in that sense, I found these parts, at least the theoretical parts, the first principles part of thinking and arguing certain problems in the field, I found that very interesting. And now I strongly believe, at least if the result was any indicator of that, I feel such a way of thinking is quite important when it comes to exams such as GATE or in general whatever programs you pursue.
Wow. So, there are actually many things to unpack in this podcast, like your GATE preparation. Can a student be a BS instructor? And obviously, your journey at the ITMBS course. So, let's first talk about the GATE journey. When did you first think about preparing or maybe giving GATE exam?
Let me actually start off from when I started the degree. I am the 2 and F2 batch. And in order to pursue this degree, I also joined a bachelor's in math because I think that was a requirement at the start. And I did not have any great aspiration. In fact, in my second year, I wholeheartedly believe I would exit at the diploma level and go to a job. So that was me. But then when I came to campus for TA-ship, and then I figured, okay, maybe research is something I should give myself some time to pursue instead of directly jumping to a job. So that campus exposure really changed certain things for me. And I think so that time was 23 May. I think around the same time was when the GATE DA paper was announced. I think I was gifted in the sense that I did not have anything on my plate, so it was still empty. And yeah, the GATE DA came up. I remember now also the director announcing that in the previous workshop's inauguration. I thought, why not? It's probably just going to be like another end term exam at the BS Center. So I just gave it that way. And yeah, I guess it went well in 24th. And later when I started looking at opportunities where where I can pursue a research-based program, there was a 4-year eligibility one, 4-year degree eligibility, which was I cannot use my bachelor's in math for, which was just 3 years. That was one, and two, they required the GATE score, I guess. So I cannot really pinpoint exactly where it started from, but at least that's how my journey in the GATE space started, just with that statement by the director.
And as you mentioned, you gave the GATE exam like you were giving like a BS end term exam. So,
Same for last year and this year. So yeah.
hmm. So is it the case like the concepts you study in the BS data science course, are they like overlapping or like comprehensive to a such an extent that you can just, if you
Yes.
prepare well, you can give the GATE exam?
Great question, right? So I think this might come again when we talk about gate prep, but BS was the only resource I used. It's not like I went outside to prepare for gate. So, and I think it gives a very strong foundational footing into whatever questions are asked in the program. Things to add, well, there are certain topics in gate which I feel are not covered to the extent gate DA wants you to. For example, there was AI. And I think I remember like one or two questions from DBMS which weren't directly covered in the course. But those aside, I feel at least for the 25 paper, this is true. The main concepts were probability, linear algebra, and optimization or calculus, univariate calculus. So these things are very extensively covered. So MLF and the PDSA. I think first 4 weeks of PDSA cover all the DSA you need in Gate DA. If you have a mastery in these subjects, at least if you had mastery in these subjects for Gate 25, I'm positive you would have easily gotten above 50 rank, because that was the way the paper was. It wasn't like that last year, but this year it was very focused towards machine learning, linear algebra, and stuff. And I think for those kinds of subjects, the BS program does an excellent job in providing the coverage. Yeah.
A lot of students ask for advice for GATE. So would the best piece of advice would be focus on the current course, focus on the concepts, and your preparation would be taken care of?
Sounds correct. Well, but I still don't want to label it advice, because at the end of the day, it kind of turns out that you're kind of tricking yourself into doing this so that you get a good gate score. I believe that a good gate score should never be the objective, and it wasn't for me. I just want, in fact, I think I got a satisfiably okay gate score last year, and I wasn't trying to aim higher and all. It was just we just gave it along with friends, and we thought, well, why not? So that was the way I gave it, and I think the only thing that helped me compared to last year was the timings. So the gate question, the timings, if you take care of, I think you can optimize marks in that sense. But sans all that, just generally, if you were to prepare, all these things would anyways happen if you're passionate about it. So I shouldn't tell you, don't worry about that, don't worry about it. If you're just honest with yourself, if you figure out for yourself that this is a field that you're genuinely interested in, I don't think you would even look for advice from anyone or anything else. If you're scrambling to find some advice to help you reach some particular objective, you should probably start introspecting and really ask what you're doing.
Got it. Another doubt is that can BS data science students apply for another other fields in GATE also, like apart from data analytics?
Well, yeah, I'm not familiar with any rule saying you shouldn't. I have a bunch of friends, in fact, a big proportion of friends giving CS and DA together. But outside that, I don't know. I was also considering to give the Gate stats paper, but that was too late. Yeah, I don't see why not. I think the only criteria is to be in your third or fourth year of your program, right? So if you're there, I think it should be all right to give the Gate.
Okay, so you can switch fields in the master. That's totally fine.
At least you must be aware of what the college does on their side when they take you in for admissions. So because I think sometimes they also have some requirement on your bachelor specialization if you were to pursue a master's in some other field. So that might perhaps come into play. Yeah.
But the curriculum wise, data analytics is the more natural pathway.
Exactly. Yeah. So as I said before, like if you are good in those subjects, right, probability, linear algebra, and like optimization, you would have easily been in the top 50 this time. So it was that much that nature, that was the nature of the paper this year.
And there was some like anxiety among students that there was initially the applications of BS students were being rejected by some institute. But later the clarification came that IIT Madras is recognized as a 4-year degree and anyone can do MTech from IITs and so on. So that was part. And like I wanna ask you, like you have All India rank 7. Which institution now would you wanna enroll in for MTech?
Yeah. So I will be joining IIT Madras for the masters, not the MTech, but rather the MS by research program. So I did get offers from IIT Madras and IISc. IIT Madras was the HTTA MTech DSAI program, and at IISc it was for MTech AI. But I've taken the decision to actually join for a thesis-based master's, so an MS by research at the institute itself.
So
And
what is the distinction between a MTech and research-based MS, and which
great question.
student should opt for which?
Well, I can't. I don't know if I can answer the second question, because
Sure.
I myself was in a big dilemma there. But for the first question, the MTech program is generally in most universities is a course-based program, and you need to do around 12 to 13 courses. You have a fixed set of electives for your first semester, and then it varies. At least that's generally how it is across the country. You do have a research/project component at the final semester, but the MTech is a strict time-bounded program. You enter and you exit after 2 years with your MTech. So that is MTech. Whereas when it comes to an MS by research, or in IIC it's called an MTech research, and various other names. So over there, you do not have as much coursework. So it's generally around 4 to 6 courses, depends on the institute. Sometimes your guide might want you to do more. Regardless, you are assigned to a guide at least in the first semester or at the end of the first semester. So you start working with your guide closely, and there aren't any stringent restrictions on the coursework, I believe. So there aren't like these are the core courses you have to do. It's completely up to the guide what courses you want to do. It's completely up to the guide to decide whether you've done enough, research based work, because I think you'll have to write a thesis and defend it. So it's, as Professor Arun put it in one of our conversations, it's a mini PhD. So if people are aspiring to go for a PhD but they're unsure of what a PhD demands, an MS by research would be an excellent option to gauge whatever you would eventually be doing. That was also my rationale for joining an MS by research. And as I told before, for an MS, you do not need such big gate scores. So I think the cutoffs are around, at least for IIT Madras, last year it was around 560, I believe. I do not know this year. I'm not sure if they released that. And the further interview process is, at least you're eligible for that. You can apply for that. So, but that's the MS. If you feel like you've not studied enough, like, or you want a more hands-on approach, I mean, DS does all this, but somehow rarely, if you still are unsatisfied with whatever you've done, if you want on-campus assignments, and now that I think about it, doesn't, at least for me personally, it's not, I don't feel like I missed out on anything. So if that is you, if you want more coursework, if you want to indulge yourself in more electives, then MTech would be the perfect place for you. And also, I think for placements, it's a great place to be in an MTech. And MS is also good for placements, I've heard, because generally they don't differentiate between the two crowds, except for the fact that you'll actually spend a big chunk of your time, doing actual research and working with your guide and getting a flavor for all those aspects of your program. And MS is not time bounded. As I said before, the advisor decides when you are done with it or not. So unless he's satisfied, you will have to work, and it is generally like 1.5 to 3 years, I believe. Both master's programs generally have an upgrade option in any institute to a PhD, an upgrade to a PhD. And that is also something you could consider.
So basically, you had two options for yourself, like ISC and IIT Madras. So why did you choose IIT Madras at that?
Well, so I had three options. So, which, if I am to enumerate that, the MTech offer from IIC and IIT Madras, and an MS research by IIT Madras. And the only question was, do I want to do a course-based program or a research-based program? And
Wow.
the answer, at least now I've converged to this place. I do not want to question myself anymore. I'm here. So MS by research is the way to.
Let's talk about your PS journey now. You were initially bachelor's in mathematics course from SRM. I believe during that you joined the IIT Madras PS course. So
Right.
how did you came across the course and what was your mindset behind joining the course?
So I need to go a step a little bit back. So I joined both at the same time. But before that, I actually finished my 10th and 12th in Sri Lanka. My dad had a job transfer over there, and I was there for around 5 years. And the plan initially was to go abroad for my undergraduate education to the UK. But then later COVID happened, and I started weighing on the decisions. So UK undergraduate degree is also generally 3 years. I did not really find the idea of doing one entire year online while over here from a UK college, that to an undergraduate. Generally, undergraduate options in the UK do not have as much scholarships. My parents were still ready to send, even though that wasn't a big factor. I just could, that just didn't sit right with me. So I was like, let's just do something in India for a while and perhaps look at abroad options for a postgraduate thing. Now I'm not doing that, but at least that was my thinking back then. I never thought I would be doing my UG in India, and that's when this I saw the BS flyer. So I think one of my dad's friends sent it to me. And I was like, this is nice. I'd been interested in machine learning and data science for a long time now, and I was looking at math and stat degrees that are applied. So which is machine learning is one sort of amalgamation of that. So I was looking at those options and I saw this flyer. I thought, well, this seems pretty cool. Let me enroll in that. I had some offers for the computer science engineering offers from various institutes through the NRI route. So I was considered an NRI because I did my schooling there. But since I'm already going to do this BS over here, I thought there would be an overlap. Like why should I do a CS engineering degree when I'm already doing? I think uh, all aspects of CS I liked are what are in data science now. All the other aspects I was not a big fan of. So in that sense, I took the decision of joining here, and I was looking at universities that offer, to NRIs a BSc degree, a pure science degree. I was like, I'll just do maths for fun and I'll join this. And I think I only found SRM that did that. I was too late for some of the other colleges. So I joined SRM as an international student, started this BS degree, and went on with life. That's how it started. Yeah.
As you mentioned, there was a overlap between bachelor's in maths and BS data science. But anyways, like how was your experience like as a dual degree student? Did it get intensive at times and doing two courses with similar backgrounds help in your preparation?
I'll address the second question first. So, as I mentioned before, so I didn't choose computer science because computer science would have an overlap with the BS program, not the
Hmm.
maths program, right?
Hmm.
So math and the BS thing, at least the syllabus they follow there, there wasn't that much overlap. Surprisingly, I think there was only a probability and stats course that I did at the BSc, which had an overlap. But other than that, it was nice. SRM was not that intensive per se, but
Hmm.
so it wasn't that big of a problem having both hand in hand, but still I always found myself, under pressure before the quizzes and the end terms. I'm not that good of a student in the context of a BS or an average BS student kind of vibe. So I always tend to last minute sit and watch all the lectures, I think a day before the exam. At least that was the way I prepared, even though I had time before that. I was just too lazy to do those things. And some terms it was quite painful when I took like 3 4 diploma level. I think the term that comes to my mind is when I did mat 2 and the mat 2 project together along with MLT and I think, yeah, PDSA. It was, and with this kind of thing where I just study everything a day before the exam. It worked out at the end. I got acceptable grades. I'm not sure if the means to that was constructive to me, but now that I'm here and at least gave me this opportunity to sit and study them again, this time for like properly, and I think that's when I really appreciated what was over there. But yeah, at least for me personally, if I were the average BA student who puts in 8 hours, I think 10 hours, they have a recommendation list, right, when you enroll for courses every time. Had I put in that much time which I had obviously had when I was doing my bachelor's, then yeah, I think it would have been a cakewalk handling both of those.
Since it's thought of as an online degree, so like course difficulty is often questioned. So you have an experience of an offline degree and the BS Data Science program. So how would you compare the academic rigor or course
Difficulties, right?
difficulty?
The BS program's hard to scale. So it is, making education accessible to all, one, which I think it does tremendously well. But the second thing of, evaluating the student. So I think the part of, them trying to cheat is taken care of. So the integrity is definitely there. People come to the exam centers and do it. Perfect. Awesome. And the level of questions, this part is a bit subjective. So if you contrast it with the kind of questions that are asked in GATE, it is perfect. So it is on par. In some places, I would say the BS program questions have much more depth to them, but obviously they are allotted more marks. So in GATE you can only get 1 or 2 mark questions. They cannot ask you anything beyond that. It's not like a subjective paper, right? Similarly with the BS program, you have that, but we don't have such constraints. I can ask you a very crazy question, then just tell you to write a number as an answer and allot it lots of marks. So that is possible. So in that sense, at least in that lens, the program makes the cut for the testing purposes. But still, I'm not convinced if that is perfect, right? In the context of offline campus academic rigor. So, right now it seems okay. But say if IITM were to also offer a bachelor's in math online, I don't know. The idea of having an MCQ NAT based exam for such a program just doesn't sit well with me for a BSc math or a BS math course, right? That evaluation part is the only thing I'm a bit icky about, and
Hmm.
there's no easy answer to it. So now there are certain courses in the degree level which have subjective quizzes like statistical computing, mathematical thinking, and so on, which is wonderful. I feel I mean I just took like some easy degree level courses to supplement to give me more time to do them properly. But though that's I think in those places I was properly tested. Like I had to utilize everything that I studied to answer.
Hmm.
When it comes to an MCQ objective based setting for, and especially with these crazy new courses that just are too abstract and hard, like it's hard to even from an instructor point of view put down such questions.
Hmm.
It's hard to ask such questions. The Even though the evaluation part is taken care of, is able to scale, some people might just guess and get, and it's a hit or miss over there. It's at least for me currently it's not as satisfactory as an offline degree one, but in the context of the stuff you are being taught, right? So in that sense it is great. Another place where I think more work could be done is the assignments. Now the assignments are also of the same nature, the same MCQ, MSQ, NAP. If the assignments, yeah, this is a very hard problem. So even if there are any ideas, you should let us know so that we can implement it further. But even the assignments, I feel like true learning happens when you implement whatever you learned, right? So that's where the assignments come into play. Now the assignments are also objective and NAT, so that at least we aren't providing that extra push for assimilation of the course content learned to the student.
Hmm.
So that assignments and exams usually do, but here since they are just objectives, at
Hmm.
least that degree of assimilation is lacking. Regardless, if a student does not expect to be spoon fed for such assimilation, they could go out and do projects on their own. Nobody is telling them you shouldn't do. You should just do this the assignments. So from that context, only self motivated to students who are again very passionate about what they're studying and who are going to work on projects without being told by the instructors or the profs in the program, such students will greatly benefit from whatever is offered in this
Hmm.
course. Yeah.
So due to the scale of the program, like
Yeah.
objective examinations are, but like for cases like OPP programming exam,
Huh.
at least we need to write the code. So
Yeah, that's a good point. So in OBB, it's easy to scale, right? Because of this test cases kind of framework. Or can we brainstorm our way to more such frameworks where, the learning is properly tested is an open question.
in talking about the curriculum, especially in the field of AI and deep learning, like the field is really quickly evolving. How would you say, especially in the applied part or like the cutting edge part, do you think the course is like regularly updated and is at par with the industry?
Well, wow, the first thing to note is this is an undergraduate program. Putting such expectations from such a program would not be fair. Regardless, there are these cutting edge courses that are in the program right now. So I've heard from a friend about the CV course offered by IIT Hyderabad in our program, right? So apparently that delves into the cutting edge, the frontiers of CV research, and there are various other programs. There is reinforcement learning. There's the LLMs course that was just introduced, and constantly courses are being added, and even further there's an MTech program, right? So the MTech upgrade for the BS folk, and there are constantly various courses being added. So in that sense, I think the program is staying updated. But again, a thing to note is no matter where the frontier is, you do need to be good and clear with the foundations that is used. You must be good with the language, and I feel the program nails that. So which is why I'm sure you will see various gate top performers from this program, because the foundations are good. The gate exam doesn't test your understanding of the architecture of transformers and tokenization and stuff like that. They want to know whether you are able to assess the rank of a matrix, or whether you are able to say whether a function is convex or concave. Because at the end of the day, all these new concepts, these are more or less abstract, are theoretically founded using such principles. So if you are good over here, I think the transition from here back to the frontiers should be very seamless for you, and that's what institutes are looking for. That's why the gate exam, the syllabus of gate should tell you what you really need if you want to succeed in this field. If the foundations, if those first principle approaches are important for you, the program does it pretty well. The diploma level itself covers most of it.
I believe the GATE results, three of the top 10 were from IPMBS students.
Mm,
So this was like first objective result of like the network effects of the BS data science being created.
mm,
And
mm.
it's just 5 years since the course launch. So
That is, I think one other aspect I want to point out, at least about the three, is that I think all the three were dual degree students. All the three weren't from a CS background. Especially AR1 was a medical guy, and even and it was quite crazy. I think you should perhaps link that interview also to the video. The
mm, sure.
interview.
I will post that in the description. There are like 40,000 students currently enrolled in the program. So, like, where do you see the future of this course and like the network effects being created? And would such a program be replicated by another institutes? We are seeing glimpses of that because IIM also launched an online degree course and they're saying that it is directly inspired by the ITMPS course. What do you see in the future in like the next, say, 10 years?
Well, I've not thought about such a question. I'm, as you can see, I'm quite the lazy guy. But I'm for sure very excited to see what will happen in the 10 years. I think whatever impact the program is having right now will, for one, manifest as various other institutes trying the same model. That is true. I don't know if they'll be successful at that, because this program, the people in it are quite crazy. I think the other impact that I would love to see is the quality of the offline programs having to go up. So there are lots of colleges in India, and there is a reason why IITs and NITs and the other institutes stand out, because the argument is that the education is not of that much of a level in the offline colleges, right? So, but now if we make such high quality education available online, then what do the offline colleges have to offer? right? So that would be an interesting effect to actually see unfold, where students are exposed to two completely different worlds of education, and they're able to see the valuable effects of the online one, and try to actually ask for good education offline also. Uh, so that would be a very interesting effect to see. Secondly, regarding the other online degree programs, I don't know how constructive that would be, because I would rather prefer a collaborative approach rather than various institutes being disjoint, like perhaps a board of institutes offering online program, because it is not easy running a program of such a scale. And if you are just choosing to run another program that is just competitive with it, if you join hands, then maybe you could tackle various other issues that are not addressed by the BS program. I think doing that would be very constructive to both the institutes and the students that are taking part of it. So that's what I would like to see. I'm not sure what will happen in 10 years, but the network effects that the program is having, I feel, is a very good wake up call to various institutes in the country, and I'm excited to see how that will unfold further.
We are seeing that increasing percentage of the students enrolled in the program are now standalone students who
Mm,
are doing this degree as a standalone, no other offline degree. And as you also mentioned, that a lot of insights you gained were when you were studying offline as a TA or
correct.
instructing
Mm,
rather. So a lot of students have this question like, would my social in-person skills and whatnot would be taken care of doing as a standalone? Because there are limited opportunities and limited number of students who can actually study offline being a BA student. So what do you think about the online being at home aspect of the degree?
Yeah, that's a good question. So technically, was a standalone student, I would say, in 2024 when it started. So I did a TA-ship and the project internship after that. So I was at campus for 8 months, and then I stopped. I wasn't on the campus. So I mean, campus is like 30-45 minutes away from my home, but I was doing the on-campus course for the 24 Jan term and so on, and I finished my BS at the end of 24. So technically I was a standalone student for that 1 year. Regarding these interpersonal social relationships, it wasn't that big of a deal for me. So I think some friends I made during the 8 months over there, they kind of stayed. It's not like I was putting in an effort. They were around. It was nice. It was nice interacting with them, with some instructors as well. So, and it was also quite clear what my objective was. I wasn't part of the society as much in the program, because simply because I've had these other avenues. But I feel for the joining students, that would be a great place to network and find friends first. Find guys who you will be working. You guys would be doing similar subjects, have similar interests, perhaps study together, whatever. I wasn't. So this was not at all the case when I was doing my bachelor. So that then I did not have any bandwidth. But if you're a standalone, I think you have enough bandwidth. So, and you have enough avenues to connect with students as well, right? So say it be on discourse, on G spaces, in these committees, committees, and there are various societies as well, right? Like there are very various societies as well. You could easily find connections with similar interests over there. The bandwidth would be to putting some effort to maintaining those, staying connected. That should be enough. Other than that, and also I would say it would be nice if you could spare some time to also be involved actively in whatever the program is doing. So I was a TA on campus, but you could still, I think there's a mentorship opportunity also, right? So you could just mentor 10 students. I actually did that in the second 4 months. So I think there were some 10 students under me, and I would prepare study resources, teach them stuff. It was fun. I think like 2 to 3 people were active per week, but all in all, it was fun to interact with them, get their doubts cleared in a live fashion. And yeah, the more you're in direct contact with the program, talk with various people in the program, I don't think that is that big of a deal breaker. Because I think when I was doing my bachelor's in math, I was more or less just talking to the folk in my class. Like, okay, not just all the folk, but like 40 to 50% of the folk in my class. And I had 12 students in my class. So it's not that big of a deal breaker. So yeah, I feel like the standalone guys are in fact a little have the edge over the other folk who are not able to gauge the stuff the program is giving, right? So you're probably at an advantage over the other guys. So perhaps make the best out of that.
Yeah, so because you have extra time, so maybe you
Yeah.
can invest that to like better learn the stuff that degree is providing.
Yeah, because in generally in these those colleges, right? So there are these meaningless assignments, some extra overhead, admin stuff. There's just so much time wasted over there. You all. So I always tell myself, if I had some time, I would have worked on this great project idea I had. Now you have the time, you don't have excuses. Perhaps get to that, and make the best use of whatever.
So you've been an on-campus TA, and now you are a course instructor, which is our next level altogether. But first of all, so a lot of students have doubt, like how can they be a TA? What is the minimum eligibility and whatnot? So maybe you could share that.
How to be a TA. I feel you should have done the course one and two. I think you need an A or S grade in that. At least when I joined, there was an interview they took and they had me join. And you need to be on campus. I don't know if that part is relaxed yet, but if you get to be a TA and if you get to come to campus, I would strongly encourage you to come to campus. That's where the magic happens. And yeah, and you're given responsibilities such as handling live session, making. At least I had the opportunity to contribute a bit more. So I think that was the third run of MLT. I did it in the second run. So I was a TA for the machine learning techniques course, and I could interact with the prof, and we could all add some more content to the course, both in forms of a website and then some tutorial videos and live sessions. We had very a very good run that term. We also have fostered very good communication with the students who are pursuing that through the live sessions. All in all, that was a fantastic experience, and I feel if you get to TA for these new courses, right? Especially, I think you would so there you have an advantage of really being a big part of the up and coming courses. So there are various courses up and coming. In fact, I'm not sure if this is cleared yet, but I think there would be like one or two new courses coming at diploma level. But such courses, right, where which are new and developing, if you're there and if you're able to contribute, I think you get to talk with various folk and really be a part of that process. So I think such a pipeline really helps you develop various skills as a student. Yeah.
So if you're early being a TA for a new course, then you can maybe add into the course structure a bit.
Exactly. Or two, if the course you find that the course has something lacking, I'm sure whichever faculty is offering that course will be very glad to hear your inputs and work with you on that. Yeah.
Mm. And once you get the relevant grade, maybe an S or an A, then
Mhm.
you have to yourself apply or ITM contacts you.
They float a Google form. I think after the end term exam itself, like sometime around that. And now you have the option of being just a mentor or both a mentor and a TA. You just apply through that form. They'll call you for an interview mostly, and yeah, I think that's the process. It's not that complicated. So in that way, they IITM does send out applications. You do not have to write to them or anything.
Now you're a course instructor. So
Mm.
how like what are like the responsibilities of a course instructor and how can someone be a course instructor?
I might not be a good person to ask. So I'm a part-time course instructor at the program, not a full-time one. So I think this question, at least the responsibilities that you asked for, so there are various other admin responsibilities that a full-time instructor handles. For a part-time course instructor, it's probably it's probably just TA but Pro Max. But other than that, you do stuff that a TA does, as in like answer questions on discourse, stuff like that. But yeah, you also need to make questions for the papers. And in case you are part of the new courses, which I am now for the algorithms for data science course, that the new course offered in the degree level, you also need to make your assignment problems. You need to work with the prof to add any supplementary content in the form of videos or whatever. Basically, yeah. So the creative process is where the instructor's mind is properly used, right? So I said before, trying to make questions for these kind of very abstract courses and making them objective and innate is not a simple job. And I don't think I've ever succeeded in a single deadline I've set for myself. So it is this creative process that you just need some time to let the subject sink in. And then I don't know, probably randomly when I'm showering or probably when we're just walking around, suddenly it hits me, I could ask a question like that. And you just run back home and write it down before you forget it. But yeah, that's at least how my journey in the course instructor thing has been. It's been wonderful interacting with students, and it's also quite nice. I think I'm quite young in the sense of being able to be put in a position to curate questions for such high level courses. Like even now, when I don't even have a master's or PhD in hand, I'm already getting to do that. You already get to do that when you're a TA itself, but more so in a more active manner when you're a course instructor part time. But yeah, it's been a fun experience. It's nice to work with instructors you once spoke to them as instructors, but now like they're your friends, and then you see everything they go through. So in that sense, it's nice, and also it gave me a better view on the students themselves in the program, not in the POV of students, but also in the POV of instructors. After which I've come to really appreciate the stuff the instructors team does, and also the operational teams for that matter in the program.
What is like the process or eligibility to becoming a course instructor?
There are certain cases, but sans that, I think you need to be done with your, at least you should not be in the BS program. So you must have exited it. So I think
Hmm.
that's a clear cut requirement from you. It depends really. I still don't know even if a strong bachelor's requirement is there. I'm not at all that familiar with the process, so I didn't apply per se. So I was just called to join because I was TA in those two courses, and even recently, if you're not familiar, there's a School Connect program
Hmm.
offered by IIT Madras, and I was a TA for one of the machine learning courses there, where we made content and all. That's where I worked closely with one of the instructors who happened to be the lead of the ML team, and they wanted me to join, even if it's part time. So that's how I got in. Other than that, I'm not exactly sure about the exact eligibilities per se, but if anyone's interested, you must just feel free to write an email to one of the instructor heads, and they might be able to connect you further for the
Hmm.
processes. Yeah.
And like the most recurring questions, even the students start asking like question before joining the course is the placements. Like
And
it's been 5 years, so like now is that the BS batch is like officially completing in this year also. What is like the current placement scenario and like what is the industry response?
yeah, again, I'm not the right person to ask these things, but from what I know, I think it's getting better. So there are exceptional students who I said before, who have free time and they put in to create some wonderful projects. I think various projects used by the BS community itself in the context of past papers and marking your own paper, stuff like that. There are extremely well done projects and people are doing such things. But again, it's not scaling, right? So many people just study just enough so that they get good grades and pass through. It turns out that for certain placement or industry level positions, that might not be sufficient. So even as instructors, we are actively trying to brainstorm ways in which we can get the students more involved in these outside syllabus activities, because it turns out that they become a crucial requirement when you actually want to get outside there and do some work. So that is happening. It is in process, and I'm sure we'll see some new improvements to the program. But regardless, yeah, I'm not sure how the current placement scenario right now is. I'm not that sure about that aspect.
Personally, now you are a course instructor and you're doing MSY research. What are your plans in the coming 1.5 years, like on an academic level, and what you are looking forward to contribute?
Right, yeah. So the MS I have not joined yet, so I'll be joining by July, August, I think.
Hmm.
And yeah, so in 1.5 years, not sure. I think that's a smaller time frame, like maybe 3 years now. So
Hmm.
at least my main priority right now is to figure out whether I am a good candidate for a PhD.
Hmm.
That's pretty much it. And that I'll do by simply just doing whatever I'm supposed to do in the MS program, which is the reason why I joined the MS by research. I've been using the word research for quite a while now, and I don't think I understand exactly what I mean by it. So I need to figure that part out. And once I do that, gauge whether a PhD is a right fit for me and take steps accordingly. So figuring out my interests, figuring out what research as a process itself feels like, figuring out if I am good enough for a PhD program, those are some crucial points in my bucket list that I need to address.
Let's talk about your review of the BS course since you've completed the entire course and now you're actively you can make changes to the course too. So like one thing that you like really appreciate about the course and one thing that you feel like needs to be changed with time.
Yeah, I think these have been answered before, but just to reiterate, the appreciation part comes from really making such top class education accessible to all. So, you have top faculties in the country, you have them sit in a room, record lectures, and push it to like any student, right? So, regardless of income or even age, for that matter, you are putting this quality education outside for people to look at. So, I think that is and a very crucial step for education, and that the program is doing succeedingly well. The one part that I would like to change, I don't know how it would be changed into. Change is again the evaluation part, right? So more assignments that really make course content assimilation better, and even the exams. I would like to see something in that regard. I don't know how the end product would look like. Had anyone known, it would have been implemented already. But that is the part which I would like to be changed in an ideal world. Yeah.
One recurring problem the students whenever I like talk to any student, they say that the lectures are really in depth, but they feel like they can be like too lengthy at times. And they contrast it with other like degree courses for a topic. Like the lectures could be like bifurcated into a 5-7 minute duration lectures. In ITM BS, like the lectures can go on for a while, and
Mhm.
students then refer to external resources to basically prepare for exam. Your personal experience studying from the lectures and what advice you would give to students.
We are talking about this being a replacement for an offline degree, and generally offline degree periods are around 1 hour. So I don't think this is a good. I mean, think about the prof, right? So he's sitting for an hour with no one in front of him, just a camera and teaching stuff like that. But regardless, it's done well, and I don't see the problem, right? If it's just 5 to 7 minutes that you want, you could just download the video, cut it, and then have a look at it. If you feel like you're not able to attend for such a long time, then perhaps you're not that interested in the subject, or top stuff like that. I think whatever is there, whatever is out there is very well done. In fact, so I did the on-campus RL course by Professor Ravindran on campus, and at times he's a busy man, so at times he wouldn't be able to make it to the lecture. He in fact asked us in a sense, not just us but the entire IIT Madras class, to look at lectures that he recorded for the BS program. So so in that sense, at least they are proper offline degree replacements, and we shouldn't take that lightly. In fact, I really appreciated those. I couldn't pause Ravindran sir and rewind him by 5-10 seconds or set 2x on him to see the lectures, right? But I get to do that in the YouTube videos. So I personally felt the recordings this way. The length wasn't. I don't know. I mean, if the length is too much, I still do not see the problem there. I could just pause there for a while, exit, and come back and resume from there. So in fact, that's what we do, right? So the lectures, the original lectures are probably 3-4 hours long, and we partition them and then upload them as course playlists. If it's partitioned a lot, you would be overwhelmed by the number of videos you need to see per week. Oh no, there are 42 lectures this week, boss, I cannot do. And then you'll again go outside and look. So I don't think that problem is solved. So yeah, I guess that's all I have
Hmm.
to say about this
Hmm.
question. Yeah.
In talking about the offline, there is also a clause that in the BSc and BS level, if you have 8 plus CGPA, then you can opt for some offline courses in IT
Mm,
Madras. So
mm,
how
mm.
does that work?
Yeah, so I did that. That was the RL course I did, right? So, well, not just in IIT Madras. So there are various other institutes also, right? There was CMI, IIT Gandhinagar, IIT Ropar. So many other institutes are also offered. Yeah. So just one point to note is, if you choose to do an offline course from IIT Madras, it counts to your CGPA, but the rest are actually counted as electives, as in they don't count to your CGPA. They just pass or fail. That's for the
Okay.
other ones. But if you choose to do a course offered by IIT Madras off like on campus, then that will also count towards your CGPA. That's something to know. And so I did two like this. One was at IIT Madras RL, and the other one was from IIT Gandhinagar. It was titled Special Topics Applications of Linear Algebra to Combinatorics. It was quite an interesting subject. It was offered by Professor Neil Thara ma'am. And yeah, it was quite wonderful being a part of those courses. And the way it works is, of course, you first indicate your interest that you want to do it or not. In the degree level, there is, I think, a G form floated, and you are shortlisted for it based on your CGPA, based on the openings. I think some courses have a very small number of openings. If I recall, last year there were some math courses on the offer, but since the math courses at IITM are usually packed, I think there was just some 2 to 3 openings. So if your preference is high and if your CG is also high, then you have a good chance of getting into the course that you want to do. But such an experience was truly valuable. So there, I really saw the value assignments can have. Right. So there isn't a fixed course structure for any course. Even if the same course is there, if it's offered by a different prof, right? So the grading outline per se varies. So in the RL course that I did, I think around 60% of the score was purely from assignments. And there were just 2 exams in contrast to 3, which is usually the case there. So if you want that feel to be on campus and to actually do assignments out there that they're offering, and stuff like that, I feel like if a person gets to do that right in the program, it's really wonderful for them. And in that sense, that BSMS upgrade kind of pushes the student to do that. So they do, I think, 4 courses on campus, and then a small project kind of a thing with the prof, and then they get to transition to an MS by research. But such opportunities are really good in grounding your expectations, and rather acts like a good bridge between the two on and offline paths. Yeah.
Awesome. So I think most of the important points are covered. One last question I want to ask is that, let's say there is a clueless student who's completed his 12th and now he's sort of interested in data science, but he's a bit skeptical of an online degree. What would be your advice with regards to joining this course?
Well, if he's skeptical, I don't think I should sit and change his point of view. I don't think anyone can do that. It's all a work in progress. But if he's skeptical of an online degree but is still interested in data science, I think the best way would be to do both degrees. Like, do the offline one wherever you choose to do it, but also do this degree program in parallel. Because as I said before, at least the course content offered in terms of lectures are top notch. So the stuff you learn will be very helpful and very important. Yeah, very helpful for any student who's interested in data science and AI, general from a general view. So for such a student, I would recommend him to do this in parallel. And if he finds that it's tiring at the end of the foundation level, he can exit there. If not, exit after the diplomas. But regardless, I think from the second term onwards itself, right? Like when he's done with the first four foundation courses, when he starts like Math 2 and Stats 2, like if he's doing those courses, I think that itself offers a very strong footing to whatever he further wants to do in AI and data science. So for such a student, just go with both of them, and you always have the option of exiting, which is something very great about the program. The flexibility is awesome. And yeah, that would be my advice for any student who's skeptical about the online nature of it. But let me reiterate, it's getting better. I don't think it will be that big of a hassle. So any program that accepts a BS, a 4-year program like this, will take you in if you have a BS in data science program. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you, Vik sir, for taking the time out and doing the podcast. I'm sure everyone knows him, but I'll anyways post his LinkedIn in the description. You can follow him. I think we can end this podcast. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't already, and bye.